You know the feeling. You've scanned your pass, walked the jet bridge, and then you stop. You're stuck standing in a cramped gangway, waiting to board a metal tube, and it always feels like it's taking much longer than it should. It's easy to assume that commercial airlines have this down to a science. Because planes only make money when they're in the air, you'd think the industry would have optimized the boarding process to protect their turnaround times and profit margins. Take a look at this diagram showing the industry standard, known as the back-to-front method. First, they load business class. Then they call the back third of the plane, followed by the middle third, and finally, the front third. But what if this widely accepted routine is an illusion? What if the standard procedure favored by most airlines is actually the absolute slowest way to load a plane? To find out, we need to strip away industry assumptions and look at the airplane aisle purely as a puzzle of spatial logistics. To test this, we can look at a rigorous physical experiment led by Captain Adam Savage and his dedicated co-pilot for the experiment, Jamie Heineman. They built a complete replica of a commercial cabin. Then they brought in a team of real flight attendants and nearly 200 volunteers, each armed with their own carry-on luggage, to run through actual boarding scenarios. By controlling the environment, they could isolate the specific bottlenecks causing traffic jams and measure exactly where the airline industry's standard procedures break down. The test began by establishing a baseline, using the standard back-to-front method. The flight attendants called rows 10 through 19 to start boarding. Almost immediately, the smooth flow of passengers collapsed into familiar traffic patterns. The first major mechanical failure occurred right at the entrance. A dense backlog formed on the gangway, forcing people to wait before they could even step through the cabin door. This overhead diagram highlights the second major failure point, the seat shuffle. Aisle seat passengers tend to sit down first, meaning they have to stand back up and block the pathway whenever a window or middle seat passenger needs to get by. Then comes the third point of friction. Passengers arrive with inevitably oversized carry-on luggage, creating localized traffic jams as they struggle to fit their bags into the overhead compartments. From the moment the first boarding announcement was made to the second the last overhead bin was closed, this control test clocked in at a sluggish 24 minutes and 29 seconds. The back-to-front system fails because it herds passengers into the exact same spatial bottlenecks at the exact same time, guaranteeing a traffic jam. To bypass these bottlenecks, the team tested a logistical challenger known as the WILMA technique. WILMA stands for window, middle, and aisle. They board window seats first, followed by middle, then aisle. The advantage is spatial. Outer edges fill up first, leaving the aisle completely clear so no one climbs over someone already seated. There was some initial concern that boarding by letter group instead of row numbers would confuse people, but with clear instructions at the gate, the volunteers found the process incredibly simple to follow. The results were stark. The WILMA method loaded the entire plane in just 14 minutes and 55 seconds, shaving nearly 10 minutes off the back-to-front baseline. By doing nothing more than altering the sequence of boarding, airlines have the ability to increase loading efficiency by roughly 40% without making a single modification to the physical airplane. The data from the experiment delivered a definitive verdict. The widely held suspicion is completely true. The industry standard back-to-front technique is mathematically the slowest way to board a plane. But buried in the exit surveys was a catch. The techniques that clocked the fastest times were consistently rated as the least popular among the volunteers. The data revealed a conflict between pure sequential efficiency and human behavior. People prefer to board and sit with their families or travel companions. Splitting them up by seat assignment creates social friction, even if it saves time. That tension between raw logistical speed and human preference is exactly why most major airlines hesitate to adopt the fastest methods. The good news is that the experiment proved several alternative boarding techniques, ones that keep groups together, are still significantly faster than the flawed back-to-front baseline. The next time you're stuck in a blocked airplane aisle, you're experiencing a deliberate system design choice that airlines simply refuse to fix.